Hello, and welcome to Imperfect in an Uncertain World, Resources for Living with Authenticity and Purpose. Today, what I want to do is talk a little bit about living simply. I've heard a lot of people tell me that they are minimalists, and I'm very intrigued by that because I have way too much stuff in my life. And so I'm curious what that means for them, how they live that way. One woman that I went out to lunch with told me that she always, when she gets ready to purchase another purse, and she doesn't do it all that often, she'll take a purse and stuff it with feminine hygiene products and other things, and then give it to someone who might be experiencing homelessness, take it to a shelter. In that way, she finds ways to repurpose what she no longer needs. She also went on and told me that she has very little in way of clothing that she wears. Uh, just is so it was interesting to hear the physical side of that. Um, but for me, when I sat down and reflected upon it, what happened was the realization that living simply is really an all aspect way of living. And what does that mean for me? And so when I say all aspect, I'm talking about the four aspects of self, which are body, mind, heart, our emotions, and spirit. So what I want to do is talk to you about living simply and committing to living simply in all aspects of our being. I will begin by saying that to live simply begins with full body listening to really begin to figure out if we're trying to have too much or if we are attached to too much in our lives. What is that about? What is going on in our life that is encouraging us to hold on to things when we just need to be gentle and non attached and have what we need and some of what we want? I'm not really big on not having anything that we want, but really beginning to engage in that way. So let's talk about each of the four aspects and how we can live simply within each of those. So the first is your body, and I'm going to talk about your body as a means of really the physical, the material part of your life. So that involves purchasing things that you need in your home, purchasing things just personally for yourself. What do you need? The interesting thing was, I have a part-time job in retail, and so the sales now are like deals that if you buy one thing, you get 50% off another thing, or if you buy four items, you can get a $5 gift card. And one day there was an older woman there, and she was buying something, and so I explained the deal to her, and she looked at me and she said, "I am 84 years old. I don't even know if I'm going to finish using this one before I die." And it kind of took me back and it got me thinking, sometimes we think, oh gosh, this is like a great deal, so I need to purchase it. When that's not living simply. Living simply means even if I wind up spending a little bit more money, I don't have so much. I remember reading a book, Wisdom Distilled from the Daily by Joan Chichester, and she talked about really looking at what living simply means for you. So she talked about someone purchasing a Mercedes but keeping that car for 20 years, as opposed to someone who got a less expensive car but traded it in every 2 or 3 years. So for our body, it's really to ask ourselves, what do we have in our lives, and how does that mean to us living simply? And one of the things that I do is again, I engage in full body listening. So sometimes it's easy. I have a hole in my leggings. I need to replace those leggings. That is pretty easy. But other times I'll go in and gosh, there'll be this great deal on clothes. But I really need to listen to myself. Why do I want those clothes? Do I really need to have those clothes? Or do I need that new purse? And so for me, it's to really listen to what my body is saying. And maybe my body is going to be fearful that 6 months down the road, I won't be able to afford something. So I'm going to pick it up now. Um, and so when I can come to terms with that, if it's about fear and not real necessity, then I can make those choices so that I can live very simply. And that to me, to be honest, physical is the most difficult one that I'm aware of in this moment. So I would say to you is to really ask yourself, why do I need the things that I need? And begin to live simply in that way. Or for me, it's a commitment now to really saying, how can I recycle or reduce and reuse and not, and just really being very careful about that. So ask yourself about that. The second aspect I want to talk about is our mind. And in that, a lot of times it's a reflection. It's really spending time in the quiet, reflecting and introspecting, asking yourself, what am I doing to excess? So maybe it's about focusing. Maybe it's what am I hooked in the day? That's what the Buddhists call Shempa. So what is hooking me? And Buddhists also refer to our clouded mind as klesha. How am I getting stuck in that? So maybe I'm on an endless loop in my mind. Or am I getting caught by the things that I'm hearing? And again, how is that catching me and creating an excess in my life? How is holding on to those things not allowing me to live simply, to really appreciate the extraordinary? And that takes some time, really begin to listening to what I call our internal monologue, to see what we are saying about the world, what we're saying about ourselves, and then beginning to learn how to quiet that, how to gain clarity so that we can reach a state where we're very simple, where we can let go of things, which brings us to the next aspect of ourself, which is the heart or the emotions. Now, the emotions to me are directly related to the drama that I have in my life. And for what I see is how is my own personal drama catching me? And how is the drama of other people out there catching me? So, how can I learn to sit and listen? For me, living simply is living in the spiral of compassion, which begins with being empathetic. How can I be aware of another person's emotions and how they're touching me? How can I be empathetic to my emotions, to recognize how my emotions are touching me? And that's the part of empathy that is affective empathy. So, how am I really aware of those emotions, but not getting caught in those? How can I spiral from affective empathy or that are feeling the emotion into the awareness of the emotion, which is cognitive empathy? And with cognitive empathy, what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to cling on to those emotions, creating more complexity, creating more stuff in my life? Or am I going to let go of those emotions and really rest in peace and calm? Because that's the essence of simplicity. We're creating an environment of peace and calm in ourselves. So for me, I'm saying to myself, notice the drama. Don't get hooked by other people's drama, and don't get hooked by your own drama. And when you do, notice it and find ways to disengage. Which now brings us to the fourth aspect, which is spirit. And so for me, this aspect is all about how am I in relationship? And how can what does that mean for simplicity in my life? So being in relationship with myself is all about reducing the drama, minimizing the negative self-talk, and really beginning to look for ways physically to live simply. The relationship with others is all about how can I be supportive of them again, by not engaging in another person's drama. Relationship with all of creation. How can I live simply so that others may live simply, so that I am not punching the environment? How am I not creating more waste? How can I be that person who lives simply? And then the relationship with the sacred. And to me, the relationship with the sacred is all about the relationship with everything that is extraordinary. So how can I live simply in that I love to watch the birds, listen to the birds singing, watch squirrels playing. It's really engaging in all of creation and really seeing the touch of the sacred in that. So just to begin to ask yourself, how can you live? How can I live more simply? And how and to parse it out, put it into 4 parts so that you can combine it, so that you can actually see how you are living simply. Thank you for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. You can follow me on Facebook, Intent and Action, or follow me on Twitter at Fire Serpent, also on Instagram. But most importantly, begin to look at ways that you can simplify your life so that you've got more peace and calm in your life. Thank you and have a terrific day.